everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm back today with my mother Joanne. And she's here to tell you about some of her favorite cozy mysteries. I'm not as big a mystery reader. I would like to read more, but then I never get around to them. And the ones that I have read recently, I wouldn't exactly call cozy. But yours are definitely more in the cozy line.
They're more cozy. Some of them are not, but some of them really are quite cozy. And I started reading a lot of mysteries because a friend of mine reads a lot of mysteries. We've only been recommending books to one another since we were about 7 years old. And she's never steered me wrong. I've always liked whatever Jill has recommended. Judy as well, and we've all known each other since we were 6 years old. But this is a series that I found by myself, this first one. It's called the First Edition Library Mysteries series. It takes place in Bath, and I think that is the main reason that I took the book out in the first place. Heather lived in Bath for a semester, was one of her semesters abroad, and we went to visit, and we've been back several times. And Bath is a place that we've left part of our hearts. We love it there. It is a beautiful, beautiful city. And these mysteries take place, and we say, oh, as you're reading it, oh, I know where that is, and I know where that is. And it's kind of fun, and that adds to it for us. But I think anyone who, if you've never been to Bath, you will still enjoy these mysteries. The first one is called The Bodies in the Library, and I do think you should start with the first one. And it's all about a young woman named Haley Burke. This is a new job for her. It's a library that is devoted to the works of, oh good grief, now I can't remember the author, but she's managing a library that features mystery writers. And there are the whole host of, characters, and, there's a murder, and there's the police chief, and there's, the lady that also works there, Mrs. Woolgar, who is a little bit prickly at first, and poor Haley's not quite sure what to do about her. And then there's, the story of Haley's life and her daughter and her mother, and it's just, I mean, someone dies. I mean, there is a murder in the library, but it's a fun read. I can't, it's a British, fun, cozy mystery, and I love them. There's only 3, but start with Bodies in the Library, and if you like it, there are 2 more that you have to look forward to. So I would recommend that series. And in the same vein, these are the Highland Bookshop Mystery Series. There's a theme here, you might have noticed. They're by Molly McRae. There are several of them, and I think what caught my eye about these books is the first one was a purple plaid cover, so I had to look at it. And the title is Plaid and Plagiarism, which I just loved. I thought that was very funny. And these are 2 friends who have taken over a bookshop. Yon Bonny Books is the name of the bookshop, and they're in this cute little shop in, I believe it's Western Scotland. And, it's the usual cast of characters, the townspeople, the people that work in the shop. It's, starting the shop up. It had been, now they were taking it over, and dealing with other people in the town, and, somebody dies. And they manage to figure it out always. And the titles are fabulous. After Pride and Plaid and Plagiarism, we have Scones and Scoundrels. And they just get better. I think there's 6 or 7 of them in all. I would recommend reading them in order. So start with Plaid and Plagiarism, but I think you'll like meeting all of them. The next one, this is the one that Jill recommended very highly, and I have to agree with her. I really, really enjoy it. This is not necessarily cozy. It can be quite grim. It's by C.S. Harris. She's the author, and it's, I don't know that it has a particular series names. I refer to it as the Sebastian St. Cyr series. He is the protagonist. It's a Regency mystery. You learn a bit about the Napoleonic Wars, which is kind of fun. It's a time period that I need to read more about. The Prince Regent turns up. They're dark. They're interesting. The characters are very well drawn. A lot of social history. They're very, very good. They are captivating. I really, really like him. His whole family is quite interesting. All of the ins and outs of, titles and what have you. The grim poverty that people don't necessarily associate with the Regency, but it was a terrible time. If you had no money, and if you had no one to sponsor you, if you had no skills, I mean, it was a very, very terrible time to live. And as the series goes on, some of these social issues are looked at as well, and I found that very interesting. You do need to start with the first book, What Angels Fear. I really think it's important to read this one in order. You could read them out of order, but start with the first one, and you'll meet all of the interesting characters. Okay, now the next series, also British. We are confirmed Anglophiles. Actually, I think your father found this series. It's the Maggie Hope books. The author is Susan McNeill. The first one is Mr. Churchill's Secretary. It's a Second World War series. And she's a spy. She starts off working for Churchill, and she ends up in, is it the OAS? It's been a while, but there are 10 of them, and they are gripping. They are page turners. A couple of them I had to put away for a little while because I was so nervous for her. People don't know about women spies and what they suffered, and that they were not treated as well. If a woman went and gave her life and she was a spy and France was captured by the Germans, if it was a man, the family would have gotten some kind of a pension. With the women, nothing. They were very important. They were critical. They were crucial to the war effort, but were not recognized until very recently. It's coming out, all of the work that all of these women did, and it was a very, very dangerous. I don't care who you are. If you're a spy, that's dangerous work. They need to be recognized, and their work needs to be celebrated because they were critical to the war effort. The books are really, really good. I will say I haven't read the last one, but there are 10 of them in total, and absolutely amazing, gripping. I wouldn't read them in the house if you're alone because some of them really frightened me. But they were that good, and I highly recommend the series. Now, the next series is a bit of fluff, and it's fun, and it's fabulous, and it's the one, the only, the fabulous Peter Mayle. This is his Caper series. There are 4 in the series, and they feature Sam as the main protagonist. And it's missing wine, it's missing artwork, it's the underbelly of the dark side of Marseille, in the black market, but they're sweet and they are funny. And you love the main characters, and that they talk about food, and they talk about wine, and the sunshine of Marseille, and all of southern France, which is where he lived and loved living there. So, you get all of that flavor. And it's like a little vacation, and I really, really enjoy them. They weren't complicated, but they were fun, and they were lovely. Also, before the Caper series, he wrote another one called Chasing Cézanne, and that naturally is an art theft book. And I cannot remember for the life of me, because I read it so long ago, whether or not Sam was the main protagonist or did he have somebody else in that particular book. But I do believe that was his first mystery. But the Caper series is really good, and I love them. And they're, in the dead of winter, when you're feeling a little tired of the cold and the gray, this will cheer you up and make you happy. Okay, the next series is quite popular, and I'm sure a lot of you already know about it, but if you don't, the Louise Penny Gamache series is fantastic. Page turners, you love the people. The characters are so well drawn. You really feel like you're sucked into this beautiful little community in Quebec. It's near the United States border, and the main character is Detective Gamache, and it's everyone. It's his wife, it's his children, it's all of the people that he works with, the people of the town of Three Pines. You're desperate to go there. I want to hang out at that cafe. I think about their hot chocolate and the food that comes out of that kitchen. It's amazing, but the mysteries are fantastic. Page turners, gripping. A few of them I did have to put away for a day or two because I was that upset. But you have to know what happens, and there are a boatload of them. You should start with the first one, which is Still Life. Amazing. Really, really good. I cannot say enough about them. Let's see, another, sort of French series. We go from French-speaking Quebec to southern France again, but this is the Bruno Chief of Police series. And I don't know, I do think Jill recommended this one to me. No, I recommended this one to her.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I think your father found this one.
Okay.
And it's wonderful. He is a wonderful man, Bruno. And again, it's all about food, which is another reason I like it. Bruno is an amazing chef, but he's also the chief of police in this tiny little town. And it's close to the Spanish border. And again, it's interesting mysteries. Some of them are rather gruesome. But I've learned so much about French history because it's in southern France. It was during the war. Vichy France comes up a lot in the conversation. And people who still haven't forgiven other people for their part and things that happened during the Second World War. And I didn't really know very much about how the Algerian wars affected France and the Algerian community within this little community in France, which I'm sorry, but the name escapes me. But it's a lot of stuff that you don't know about. It also takes place in that corner of France where those prehistoric cave paintings are. So you learn a lot of archaeology while you're reading about this too. Fascinating, interesting people. Very, very human is the best word I can use to describe this. And this is another place where I would like to hang out at that cafe and have a lovely cup of coffee and a croissant and watch the world go by. Wonderful. I cannot say enough about it. There are about 15 of those. And the first one is entitled, very simply, Bruno, Chief of Police. There's also a series of short stories that, you can read separately. You don't have to read that, in order. But I do recommend reading this in order because one story tends to build on another and new characters come in and go out. And so I think it's kind of important to read it in order. Something on the lighter side, I love Alexander McCall Smith. I think he's really interesting. He churns them out. My goodness, he has so many series. But my favorite is the #1 Lady Detective Agency. I love it. I just read the most recent one. And I have to say that one took a little while to get going. But it was wonderful. I love, as it progressed, they're slow. And they're sweet, and you don't have murders, and you don't have blood and gore. It's nothing of that, but it's all about life in this little town in Botswana. And this lady, Precious Romatse, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, but she starts a detective agency, and it's her life. And when she meets her husband, and the woman Grace, who becomes her secretary, who then becomes her partner. And they're very proud of being part of Botswana. And frankly, I could find it on a map, but I don't know anything about Botswana. And all about their culture. And it makes you want to visit, which I think is a wonderful thing. I like all of the mysteries. They're sweet. It's helping a teenager become acclimated to a new area. It's helping a husband and wife realize that they really do love each other. Just sweet. I hate to use the word domestic, but that's that's sort of what it is. Well worth your time. They're very sweet. Start at the beginning because one story builds on another. And I don't think you'll be sorry. A nice cup of tea. They're always drinking Red Bush tea, which I have had once or twice, and it's not bad. With a little honey in it, but other than that. When we went to Jill and Keith's, they were the ones that told me about this particular series, because Keith handed me a cup of Red Bush tea and said, if you like this, you really must read this series. And he was right.
Of course he did.
It's a great series, and I really enjoy it. And it's not, despite the title, the #1 Lady Detective Agency, I don't think it's a ladies' mystery. I think anyone can enjoy this. If you enjoy a quiet, cozy mystery, I think you will enjoy this. And last, and by no means cozy, but very, very good. Dissolution by C.J. Sansom feeds my Tudor obsession. It's the main protagonist is the detective. He's a lawyer. That's what he is. Matthew Shardlake. You follow him through all sorts of things. He's very close to Catherine Parr. We've got a number of mysteries featuring her. The last one, he's working for Princess Elizabeth, but he doesn't start out doing this. He's just a lawyer, and he gets caught up in things. This is about the dissolution of the monasteries, and he ends up in Cromwell's net, and it's been a while since I've read this one, but Cromwell features heavily in the dissolution of the monasteries. And there's a murder, and he's got to figure it out, and he's got some interesting sidekicks. Unfortunately, the series is over. There are, I don't remember how many there are, but it ends with
6-ish?
6 or 7. It ends in Tombland, which is a monster. It is a doorstop. But that is the last, and I was very disappointed to read that the author is not well and he has stopped writing. So Tombland is the last one. You do need to read these in order because it follows history. And I just think it gives you a richer experience if you read them in order. Absolutely amazing. We bought Tombland the year that we went to England for our Christmas holiday. And we decided not to buy one another presents, but we went to Waterston's is that on Milsom Street?
Oh, yeah.
love Waterstones on Milson Street, and we each bought a book, and that was our Christmas present, and I couldn't put it down. It was,
Well, I think that was the idea for you. You only wanted the one.
that's all I
Because you
wanted.
knew it was so huge, it would keep you busy
Yeah.
through the vacation, on the plane ride home.
Oh, definitely. I think I did finish it on the plane. I mean, I could have bought out the store. I love Waterstones, but you know, you've only got so
could we
much.
all.
You've only got so much room in your suitcase, and that was a big one. But highly, highly recommend this series. This is chunky. There's a lot going on. Having a little knowledge of the Tudor period, I think, would help. But it's not completely necessary. You will learn a great deal if you didn't. I learned things, and I've read a great deal about the Tudors. I learned things, which was really very nice. And you love Matthew Shardlake. He is not well thought of because he's a hunchback. He has the infirmity, and people, don't treat him necessarily well, don't necessarily think highly of him, but he's sharp as a tack, and he knows what he's doing. And I like all of the people he works with. Very, very good. I would highly, highly recommend the entire series, but do start with Dissolution. I'm trying to think of which one was my favorite. Fire. No, I'll get the title wrong, and I don't want to steer you wrong. But they were all very good. Some of them you do have to put down because they are gripping. Page turners, but I had to put them away for a day or two and then go back to it because, again, I was worried about him. Clearly he lasts through 7 novels and beyond, but, there we are. I worry. Very, very good. And, it's winter. It's going to be a long winter. It always is. Find a series that you really like and just jump in and really enjoy them. I think there's got to be something here that you're going to like.
Fantastic. And again, I have been meaning to read at least half of those, and I just haven't yet. I think Sebastian St. Cyr I found on Goodreads
He's
when
wonderful.
I first started on Goodreads 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, he's amazing. Of all of them, I would start there with your
Yeah.
knowledge of the Regency. I
Yeah.
think it would mean even more to you.
So
Really, really good.
One day I will get there.
So many books, so little time.
Oh, God, yes. But let us know down below if you have any suggestions for either of us based on this list, or if you have any further questions. And until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading.
Happy reading.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.